Hi, Tim Sells here, and in the last video I did show up, fired up to win the day. And in this video, I'm going to tell you how I go about winning my day. All right, so I've probably read 25 different time management and organization books, and each one of them have left me with well-organized crap. And I have no other way to say it. In other words, all these, and I think they're good at the time, but then what I ended up doing is just writing out a whole lot of lists and when to do this thing and that thing and so forth. And it ended up just really, I kind of get a squeezed feeling, like there's no way I can get all of this done. And so I'd shift over and I would do another one. I'd say, maybe this will work. And I keep on going, right? And I finally I went back to the things that I used to do in a simple way. And so I have everything from $200 a month applications online that I can, do things with and sort tasks and burn down lists and all kinds of Kanban and all stuff, right? And I just finally went back to what's very, very simple. And so I just want to share that with you, that I'm not a newbie having to do with organization books and things like that, okay? So here's all it is. Organize tomorrow's success tonight, okay? So that's step number one. If I wake up and I haven't planned the day, then I end up going out into my comms, which would be text messaging and Telegram and email and text messages and Skype and you name it, right? And so I can't do that. That's what I have learned the hard way, is that I have to organize tomorrow's success tonight, okay? And so what I'm going to do each night, and it's normally right after I put the kids to bed, is that I'm going to figure out the 3 things I absolutely must complete tomorrow. So that's what I'm going to determine. And I can just write it down on a piece of paper if I want to. That's fine. Maybe I put it in my calendar. And then I lay out item number 1. So whichever is the most important thing, and I've talked a lot in this channel about how to prioritize and make decisions. And so laying out number 1 is a big, big deal to me, right? So I have to think through, of the 3 things, what's most going to attain my goal, okay? So I'm going to lay out number 1 of the 3. Have it on my computer screen with no other open apps. Okay, so what was today? Well, it was this video. So what did I have to do? Well, I opened up PowerPoint on my computer. I shut everything else down, and then I shut the computer down or put it to sleep. All right, I wake up in the morning, I go in, I open it up, and boom, there it is, my target I have to attain, which is I needed to write 5 bullet points first thing in the morning, okay? So that's how I start my day, right? So that's an example. I'm going to give you a couple of more. Have the list of people to call on my keyboard. In other words, I'm not allowed to log into my keyboard. I have to do that call first, those calls first, okay? So that's another way that I set myself up to win the day. And then have my workout clothes right where my feet hit the floor. Literally, it's one of the very, people talk about biohacks and hacking this and hacking that. If there was the top hack of all hacks, it would be that when I put my feet on the ground, they hit my tennis shoes and my workout clothes. And I'm like, oh yeah, we decided that yesterday. That way I don't have to ask my body, hey, do you feel like working out? And my body's going to go, no, you're too old for this stuff, right? No, I'm not going to have that discussion because I know the answer, all right? So I want, as soon as I see them, I just put them on and I go work out. There is no discussion, right? So I already decided what we're doing, don't ask the body for permission, right? Because you're not going to get it. All right. The other thing that is very pervasive in all of the time management books is time blocking. And I do believe in it. And I'm going to give you some tips on it. All right. So carve out the time to do what is most important towards my long-term goal. Right. And I kind of create a strategy. So I'm going to look at, okay, so what Zooms do I have coming up? What events am I traveling to? Things like that. So that's what I'm going to do on probably Sunday evening. I'm going to take a look at what's coming at me on my calendar. That's the first thing I'm going to do. And then I'm going to put my time blocks in my calendar already so that nothing fills those things up. And I'm going to come back to this part right here, but it basically comes down to that if it doesn't work on paper, it's likely not to work in life. And that's kind of the theory that I go on, and it's the reason, and I think I taught some of this back on how to take your goal and create a plan. And if it doesn't work on paper, it's not going to work in real life. And so try to get it to work on paper first. And so that's the reason I like to time block on my calendar before a whole lot of stuff comes in on it. So when I taught a team of men to lose weight, I had them rehearse their day. Okay. So you know, if you've ever been on a diet, that in order to change a routine is very difficult with anybody. And so what I did is that I wrote out on paper, they all had a copy of it, of what we were going to do each day. Okay. But I needed to break it down even more than that. I needed to have them rehearse it. And so we literally were on a webinar at the time. It wasn't a Zoom, but it was a webinar. And we just had everybody go and rehearse it. Okay. And it was wake up, get up, take a detox powder with 1/2 of a liter of water, go on a 20-minute walk, shower, like make whatever the breakfast was. So it was very detailed as to what the person had to do. And then just before that, what we did is that we said, okay, so here are all the foods you need to go to your cupboard and you need to put into a garbage bag, walk out, put it in the trash can, take a picture of it, upload it, send it to us. In other words, it was how you really break an old routine. Okay. So, I tend to do this anytime that I'm going to change a routine. In other words, like I've got to, win the day, and I know this is going to be a change, then I'm going to have to do this. So can you imagine my life when I suddenly got this wild idea? Hey, I want to create videos on YouTube to train about network marketing. Do you think that was an interruption in my life? Do you think it was an interruption in my cameraman's life? Do you think it was an interruption to build the studio out? So how does that all take place? Well, you work it out on paper first and you dive into it. And sometimes the paper is worthless because you didn't know all of the things you're going to run into, but at least we attempted to do that. And the same thing with, okay, so when are we going to edit, and then when we're going to upload, and then when we're going to write the message to go out to the people who have subscribed and all of that stuff. So it's about being able to foresee something coming your way, and then being able to take a piece of paper and make it work. And you're just looking at it and you're trying to anticipate what's coming your way, because that is what throws, I think, everybody off, is that they put a plan in place. They didn't look at it in regards to their calendar and what's coming their way. Oh, I forgot that person's birthday was this day. Oh, I forgot Mother's Day. No, better not. Like all of these things. And so that's what I'm trying to share with you about this rehearsing. And so what it ended up happening, this drove in the new habits and routines on 24 men, and they lost an average of 26.7 pounds. So in 60 days with no exercise. So you can kind of get now the whole concept of building a sales team, you being able to get a team, is that you're going to have to organize your life around the pipeline to begin with to even get a team. And that's no different than a human relations department has to hire people, right? So they're going to have to do a similar type of an operation, right? So that's the way that goes. And so for those of you who haven't seen it, this is the pipeline. This is what everybody in the world has to do in order to expand their business or their church or their school or their political position, whatever it is. This is what you have to do. You have to generate a lead, contact, set appointments, see a presentation, and follow up. All right. And from that, you're going to, in network marketing, you're going to get a customer, you serve them, you make money, or you're going to build a sales team, you get a representative and you train them and you earn money, small commission on what they sell. Okay, so that kind of gives you this whole idea. Now, let me just talk through a little bit about, now that you know the pipeline, this time blocking having to do with the pipeline. All right, so this breadth, and so you can just picture a calendar behind this. And this would be a day calendar. And if you wanted to, and you had enough free space on your calendar, you could just go ahead and drag it over into Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and just make it all the same to start out with. But I have found that that's been a little bit lacking flexibility. And so, but this right here represents how much time. So is this crossing 1 hour, 2 hours, and 3 hours? Or is this crossing over, 1 hour or 30 minutes, right? So that's going to be the allocation. And so then I just have gold, platinum, silver as my kind of the way I name it from the prospecting side. And I have specific things during those. So leads, contacts, and appointments, those are gold because that is creating the future. And then my platinum is presentations and follow-up. Okay, so this has to do with, let's say that someone watched a video. So I set an appointment for them to watch a video. They watch the video. I get it back in touch with them, and I'm setting a presentation, and I'm doing a presentation, or I'm following up after they've already seen a presentation. So the people who were, like maybe on Tuesday and this is Thursday, they saw a presentation and I'm following up with that person. So that is my gold and platinum, and then my silver is training and support. Okay, so that's kind of like something that I work out on paper. And then it's going to fluctuate. What's going to make it fluctuate? They change based upon the growth of your team or lack of growth. And so when, let's say that I'm working with somebody and in here in the presentation and following up, and I can foresee that this person is, I don't know, maybe they're bringing a big team over or something. And so there's going to be a lot of training that's going to be required by me. A lot of work, kind of going through the company, the customer service departments, the various different things like that. So then I'm going to move into this step. So I'm going to move up here, move into that. So I will reduce that if I have to move that up because I need to spend more time on training and support during that time. Okay, so what about when you have a situation where maybe you have a team, but nobody's doing anything? And so you've called a training every week or every few days or something like that, and people show up, they listen to what you have to say, they don't do anything. All right, well, they're not doing anything. Okay, so you can try to reduce it now that you understand what the bridge to the pipeline is. So now you can start teaching them some of the things that I've been teaching you, having to do with identities. And, if they're not doing it, well, they're procrastinating it, they're distracted by other things, or one of those identities that's pulling them out of the thing that they most want. And so if that's the case, then you shrink this and then you expand the gold because this right here is going to create the future. Right? And so that's how you have to fluctuate these things based upon the expansion or contraction of your team. Okay? So, and whatever you do, never, ever, ever get out of the habit of talking to prospects, because you are no longer speaking with the tangible things that come from listening to a prospect. It's so valuable, right? It's like when you're talking to your, I don't know, your 10-year-old or your child or something like that. And they say things like, instead of you talking to them, you just listen to them. You get such a perspective of where they are, what they're thinking, what are their concerns, what's happening really at school. Not, how was school? It was good. And just keep on driving, right? It's when you really get in that conversation, when you're talking to prospects, boy, does that ground you. All right, so just never get into the training and that's all, because you'll lose all perspective. I have warned many people about this. Okay, so what's my main point here? I don't ever show up hungover. Well, heck, I never drink. So anyway, but I know people who, it's kind of a common thing for them, right? And in the military, we were roasted, as they call it, if we came in hungover, because you can't dive, right? And so they don't trust you going underwater, blowing bubbles. And so you got roasted if you did. I don't, even if I didn't sleep, show up tired. Right here in my house, okay? I won't do it. I will just tough it up, and I'll keep on going, and I'll sleep really, really well that night. Okay, so it's kind of like you got to just bump off the assumed identity when you didn't sleep well. Oh, I'm so tired. I don't feel like doing anything. Knock it off. If you're in the middle of a combat situation, or if your house is on fire, would you get it done? Would you get your kids out of the house? Yeah, you would, even if you're tired. That's the way. You got to just realize that you have that capability, and that will just make you say, you know what? I'm not ever going to stay up all night again. I'm better off doing blah, blah, blah. But sometimes I get calls or Zooms or something like that in other countries, and I have to be up in the middle of the night. And so then I have to say, well, I got to suck it up today. Just part of building a business or whatever. All right, so just tough up and keep my commitments. I just have to do that. You know how many times I've recorded videos here? Really, really, really tired? It's okay. I don't show up with a bad attitude. Okay, what good does that do anybody? It doesn't do me any good. It doesn't do anybody any good. So just show up fired up, ready to win the day. And that's the only attitude that's acceptable. Okay, I only take off plan days. Okay, so you'd always find me working unless I planned a day off with my kids or a day off with my wife or something like that. In other words, I never just wake up one day and say, I'm going to take the day off. Okay? So that's kind of the way that I do mine. So I'm curious about, how do you win your day? All right? So we've got a lot of leaders that comment, and I'm just curious about how you go about it. This was just mine. All right? I have found it to work over the long term, having tried a lot of things. But I'd like to know from you, like, they call it a morning routine, and I think it's a good idea because it does kick you into the day, doing right, winning early. And then, do you see how win your day is an identity? Now, if you haven't watched earlier videos, go to the YouTube channel and then click videos and go backwards from this, okay? And so when I say backwards, in other words, the ones that we did the week before and the week before and the week before, because I've had this whole conversation, and I will have more conversations about that. You put on the identity of being tired. You put on the identity of being fired up for the day, right? So that's why I say, do you see how when your day, it's an identity? All right, and so then please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And if you haven't done so already, we have a Telegram channel that people are able to ask me questions, and I can audio reply to them, and sometimes I reply on text or so forth. And so anyway, so thanks so much for watching. I really do appreciate you being here.